Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We're still in the ayeb yeb vibe.
Ayeb.
We were dancing like crazy.
I saw that little vosho going on there.
I could only vosho once though. We did leg days.
I know, don't worry. It's the start of a brand new year.
Yeah.
We'll work up to that continuous vosho a little bit later on.
But right now, though, it is time to head into the final frontier. For the first time this year, and while we're not even 2 weeks into the new year, there have been some interesting developments from the world of space science. And so we're back with Spaceman Dan. Dr. Daniel Kahneman back on the couch for the first time in 2019. Welcome back. Can I just say, could we just for a moment marvel at your socks? Those are amazing. Can somebody get a shot of that? Hold them still. They are amazing. We love it. His reply to the socks, he's like, I do study the star.
Wow.
I'm like, the academic puns are amazing.
I did not have a comeback for that one. It was good, man. It was good. Well done.
Too early in the morning.
Happy 2019.
All right. Let's talk stars.
Yes, let's talk some stars. So basically, everyone is fighting to be the first on Mars and to establish some sort of a colony on Mars. But the Chinese got the eye set on the moon, and they released some pictures of their rover that landed on the moon. What's the significance here?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody's got their eyes set on Mars, but it's worth probably mentioning, or bearing in mind, that NASA and even SpaceX cannot send humans to space right now.
Okay.
We've done it in the past. They've done it in the past, but at the moment they don't have the capability. Since the shuttle retired, the astronauts have been going up using Russian Soyuz capsules. China has got their eyes set on sending men to space and ultimately landing men on the moon in the next decade or so.
Yeah.
So the NASA and SpaceX will obviously be developing their capability again and are looking to get people to Mars in the next decade. But this is a major step for the Chinese Space Agency.
Yeah.
They've launched a lander. It landed on the far side of the moon and has, a couple of days ago, rolled off this little rover, which will now go off and explore the crater that it landed in.
Yeah. Does being on the far side of the moon present a different set of challenges than the near side of the moon, if you want to call it that way?
Makes sense.
And communication-wise, how are they able to retrieve all this information if it is indeed on the other side?
Yeah, so the moon rotates at the same rate that it revolves around us. So we only ever see one side of the moon.
Yes.
So this lander landed on the other side, which means we don't have any direct line of sight. So we can't do radio communications with it.
Okay.
So what they did was, in May last year, they sent a communication satellite to the far side of the moon, even further away, which is orbiting the Earth at the same rate as the moon, and they're just relaying.
Okay.
Clever.
Man, these guys are awesome.
Wow. I gotta ask though, what's the whole purpose of this mission to the far side of the moon?
So we understand a lot about the moon from our investigations years ago. I mean, the Americans were going there in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it affects the tides. We know this. Yeah.
Yes, it definitely affects the tides.
They're trying to find the man.
But I mean, there's still a lot we don't know about it. We now know that there's water on the moon, so the possibility of setting up a long-term base there, manned base, is something that we're looking into. And the Chinese and actually the European Space Agency are very interested in doing that in collaboration. And this is, again, one of the steps in that direction.
Yeah.
So potentially setting up a manned base.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I think very fascinating news, and still lots more for us to talk about a little bit later on. And of course, we'll be talking about the pictures that have been taken by the New Horizon probe a little bit later on, so make sure that you don't go away and don't miss out on that. Dan the Spaceman. Spaceman Dan. I feel like that needs to have a jingle of some kind. He'll still be here.
Thank you, Zoe, and good morning if you've just tuned in. Welcome to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. So good!
So good!
To be hanging out with you on your Thursday morning. Yes, for our first work week back, almost done and dusted. It's your Thursday. Right now, we are reaching for the stars. It's the final frontier. We're hanging out with our spaceman, Dan, who we decided needs his own jingle as of today. Daniel Kahneman, he's here. We're talking about some of the biggest developments so far this year and also what we can look forward to in 2019. Daniel, welcome back, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Listen, so NASA has released an image this week. It was taken by the New Horizons probe, and they say it looks something like a snowman. Okay, it does look like a snowman. What is that?
Upside-down snowman.
Upside-down snowman. Frosty had a good night. So what is happening here? What is this?
So technically it's called a Kuiper belt object.
What?
A Kuiper belt.
Kuiper
so
belt.
Beyond Pluto and Neptune's orbits, there's a belt of asteroids,
Okay.
big rocks. This one's about 30 kilometers across, so from top to bottom.
Oh, okay.
But it's actually composed of two asteroids, which are kind of, it's called a close contact binary. So they're touching each other, and they formed like that billions of years ago.
Wow.
So when the solar system was first forming. And that's why it's such a fascinating object, is because this is basically unchanged for 4.5 billion years, which is an amazing thing to be able to look at.
Absolutely.
But because it's so far out, it's also the furthest object from us that we've ever explored. It's beyond Pluto's orbit, and sort of well into this Kuiper belt, into the outer reaches of the solar system.
So how far exactly away is this Frosty the Snowman looking picture? And I mean, how was this probe then able to send this picture back? Because obviously it's super far.
Yeah, so it's about 6.5 million kilometers away from us. So, I mean, that's a huge number.
Yeah, it's not your Cape Town Joburg trip.
So the New Horizons probe is a fascinating thing, because its original plan was to visit Pluto, which it did in 2005.
Yeah.
But then it keeps going, right? You know, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So off it goes into outer space, and they re-missioned it to try and fly past this. So there was some fuel remaining. So they looked at what was coming up ahead. They adjusted its course slightly so that it could fly past this thing and take some photos. But then how we get that data back, it obviously has a radio antenna on it, and it slowly sort of beams that data back. It's going to take, I mean, these are very low resolution images for now. We're going to have much better ones, but you're downloading it at a very slow rate. The rate is about like 1 kilobyte per second, which is not bad.
They need to get like some Wi-Fi or fiber on these probes so that they send faster.
It's like 2G, right? But like, but yeah, it's going to take about 20 months, so almost 2 years, for us to get all of that data back.
Really?
Yeah.
And we'll learn more and more in that case.
Sure.
Space.
Fascinating stuff.
In the meantime, New Horizons will keep on shooting off and taking more photos of other objects out there.
I'm just blown away that they were to redirect its course from here after being out so far.
It's like, turn right! And then like 3 months later, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Just close call. Listen, Dan, thanks very much. Always appreciate having you. And welcome to 2019, man. Happy New Year, man. We look forward to a great year with you.
Too, yeah.
Fantastic. And that's the latest news from the Final Frontier, guys.